name is Myra Zamora, and I went to Spruce for about 3 years, I guess you could say.
My name is Diana Morito. I was here 1991 to 2004.
My name is Arturo Roth Ramos Jr. Roth Ramos Jr. I attended Spruce from 1997 to 2004. I started in preschool and graduated 5th grade in 2004.
My name is Brandon Cairo. I attended Spruce 2002 through 2008.
I am Brittany Cairo. I attended Spruce from years 2002 to 2006.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Cairo and I attended Spruce from 1997 to 2003.
Hey, I'm Chris Cairo and I attended Spruce from 1992 to 1998.
Hi, my name is Tiffany Cairo and I attended Spruce Elementary School from, I believe it was 1993 to 1994. I went to 4th and 5th grade there. You know what? I think I was there 1992, 1994.
Well, my first year at Spruce was in 1990. It was 2nd grade, I believe.
My name is Alma Jacuende Tejeda. I was here at Spruce as a student in 1978 to 1986, it was.
My name is Raymond Yuschak Jr. and I attended Spruce School from 1968 to 1975.
Rose Gomez. Okay, so Spruce School was from 1955, which is 5th grade, up through 1959, which is 8th grade.
My name's Tom Anitis. I'm the owner of Tom and Pete's Produce Company in Half Moon Bay.
Diane Venturi Martin. I attended from September of 1948 to June of 1952.
John Souza, and I attended Spruce from 1948 to 1952.
Robert Canziani, 4 years prior to 1951.
Jeanette Acosta, and I was there from 1946 to 1951.
My name is Manola Burkelly Scoville. 6th grade, I'm thinking till 1949.
I am Mary Giusti, and I attended school from the 7th grade to the 12th grade, which was 1941 through 1947.
Emmanuel Midge DeMonte, and I was at Spruce, I guess, in 1937 through 1943.
So my name is James Lynch, Jim. My grandfather went to Spruce Elementary and South San Francisco High School when it was at where Spruce is. He graduated in 1937.
My name is Evelyn Martin. I think it was May the 27th, 1937.
Yes, I'm Wendy Smithers, and I was at Spruce from 1984 to 2012.
Frank Bowen, and I've been working here since 1990 until 2017.
My name is Deborah Hoym, and I started working at Spruce in 1990 and retired in 2014.
It's very faint memories, but they're all usually really fun memories. For the most part, I just remember my teachers being really nice and super supportive and encouraging.
Well, life, just like any other elementary school student, was very simple. Very simple. Just happiness and joy, and just not a care in the world. Do as you're told, and figure out right from wrong from your teachers, your siblings, your parents. Life was easy.
I really enjoyed going to Spruce Elementary School because I felt like I had a chance to really grow there. I was in different programs. One was Stanford Games. It was a dance program. I was also in a daycare, and it's funny because the daycare teacher, his name's Tony, he's actually a cop now, so it's just crazy how time went by.
Yeah, Spruce was fun. A lot of great memories. I enjoyed all my teachers. I have memories from every specific year that I still remember and cherish today. Yeah, Spruce was a good time. Always positive. It's fun.
Yeah, I think elementary school was definitely, it was a great experience. It's crazy just to think back how long ago it was now. You know, it seems not that far away, but when I was there, it was fun. Honestly, all my teachers were all really cool. I apologize now if I was a bad student or if I was tough to deal with, which I probably was. But you know, it was great. Honestly, I have nothing like bad to say about any of my teachers. They were all very professional, and they're the reason why I'm where I am today. So
Yeah, Spruce was a good time, and they helped lay the foundation of who I think we became as people. And it may not have always been like the most funded school or anything like that, but like it had a lot of heart, had a lot of soul. The teachers there throughout the years, they kind of they had a lot of dedication and passion for the school, for the students, which kind of in turn you see that put back into the community. It raised a lot of good people who are now out in the world doing things. So can't complain.
Simple. Like, we had a computer lab, but the computer lab, it was nothing like computers today. I remember it was like really old floppy disks, and we played like Oregon Trail in it. If you guys even know what that is, it's a really old game. But I thought it was awesome back then. There were no cell phones. I mean, people called each other on the regular phone. It was just innocent. I mean, it was like a different time.
It was fun. I myself liked it here. It was really fun. I had a good time. I had a lot of friends. A lot of happy memories. Of course, some not so happy. But mostly just fun.
Life at Spruce School was great. There were a ton of kids in my neighborhood that went here, so I was always busy with playing at the school or after school nearby. And after school, in terms of graduation, I still have fond memories of Spruce School.
I just remember going to school, being involved in the class all day, recess, coming home. I remember stopping by the church because I'm born and raised here, so I just remember going home, always stopping by the church, making a little visit, and going home. Yeah, and walking with my friends. I remember walking with my friends. Yeah, that's about it. Very simple.
The first school that I went to was Spruce School in South San Francisco. I remember everybody was nice. The teachers were all pleasant. And I didn't take up football or anything like that. I know that then they didn't probably have it there at Spruce, but when I went to South City High School, I did play on football and soccer and all that kind of things. I originally came to South San Francisco. My parents moved from Chicago, Illinois, and we ended up in South San Francisco, which my dad ended up going partners with a fella in San Francisco on Mission Street.
Well, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed school, and I was a fairly decent student. As I said, we had a lot of good friends, and a lot of us actually worked after school also.
What did you do?
I worked for a Five and Dime. I started working when I was 14 years old on Grand Avenue.
Well, my father owned a grocery store. He had owned a grocery store, and as a little kid, I worked in there after school, and then when I was going to school, during the time I was going to school, he sold a store, and it was right next door to a J.C. Penney store. So I went to work for J.C. Penney's after school, and during school I played football for 3 or 4 years, and that was the only organized sport. But then we also had gym classes, and I played basketball and baseball and all the rest of them in there. But organized, I played football for 3 years.
Yeah, everybody grew up in South San Francisco. Well, my father was in the fire department, the American Legion. My mother was in the American Legion Auxiliary, the Women's Auxiliary. I was, after that I was on the board of the convention center, and we just did everything we could with the community. Well, when there was nothing to do, we would go dancing at the main halls when they had dancing.
Okay. I lived way at the end of town. Grand Avenue went up to Chestnut, and I was beyond Chestnut. I lived right on Grand Avenue, and we'd walk to school. It was about a mile and a half, and we never got a ride. We walked to school and home.
So how long would it take you?
It takes about a half hour.
That's a lot.
15 minutes if we didn't have someone to walk with. Well, we had junior high and high school together. So, and we could only sit on the lawn because the seniors sat on the steps of the school. So we had to move. And we went, back then we were just kids and we had a good time, but we had rules that we had to follow. I mean, the seniors ruled the school, but we had a good time.
Well, the parents, some of them were very, very strict, like mine, you know. So you had to really come home after school. So I didn't get downtown too much, but did manage to do my sports and made sure I was home by 5. That's when my mother came home and she was working.
It was fun because the school only had 500 students in the whole, so everybody knew everybody. And then, you know, there wasn't much to do in South City. After school, we would go to the creameries on Grand Avenue, and then we had sports and dances on Friday nights. And all our dances were in the girls' gym. The proms and everything was held in the girls' gym.
At home, well, we a lot of the time I was out cutting grass or gathering wood. We had some goats, and everyone that lived around that area at that time had animals. We had rabbits and chickens and goats. In my high school days, my uncle and my father had a stable. We stabled 20 horses, and I was the person who took care of the horses. I would, before I went to school, high school in the morning, I'd go over and give the horses food and water, and then I'd turn them out into the field, and then when I came home, I would clean the stables and then feed them and put them back in their stalls. So I did that for quite a few years in high school. I started at Swift meatpacking plant. I worked there for a while after school, and then I went to Bethlehem Steel, and then I worked there after school and on vacations and stuff. So, yeah, at that time I worked in the roundhouse for a while, and then I went to the Open Heart and took out the hot bricks, and then they would take them down to the yard, and then they would take the slag off of them. And we had a lot of high school boys that were there with a little hammer and a chisel and knocking the slag off of the fire bricks so they can reuse them.
In my generation, the kids all got along together because we were very poor. We were Italian and Portuguese, and the kids weren't like the kids of today. We all got along. We all wore clothes, but we didn't buy expensive things. Our parents couldn't afford it. A lot of the parents today, at that time, they were doing what they could to help the kid. Clothes. But we didn't have clothes. We wore the clothes. It was just plain. Nothing fancy.
Well, I know we played baseball growing up, so I know that they must have had like a baseball league or something, and they called them South City back then, I remember. That's probably about it. I know he grew up in various houses in South City. Yeah.
Oh boy, a lot of work. It's a very challenging school to teach at. There's no doubt about it. But I wouldn't have taught at any other school. The people, the population, the parents, the kids, being able to speak Spanish to the families and the kids and getting them off on a good start really meant a lot to me and to them as well. And I think that at Spruce, it's just such a unique school that we always had this philosophy. It's a Chinese proverb. It's like, I hear and I forget. I see and I remember, but I do and I understand. So what we try to do was make it active, hands-on learning. This became lifelong learning for the kids, especially for those who were second language learners. To acquire the experiences in curriculum in that way was just fabulous, and so that's what we did. It's just active.
It's very rewarding. There's certainly a lot of work to do here, and I feel like it's important work. Helped a lot of kids here, and so I feel very good about that. I've been in this little room for 27 years, and it's sort of like my home away from home.
Oh, I had a lot of girlfriends. Rosalind Santini, Eleanor Cavallari, Janet Petroni, Cahill. We're all good friends of each other. No fights.
I just remember playing with them or conversing with them during the recess. I don't remember much of that, other than the fact that we would just be talking. My friend who just walked in with me, yeah, she was one of my friends.
Yes, I still hang out with a lot of my friends still from Spruce. Can I say their names? Carmen Ruiz, I still hang out with her. Who else came here? Elizabeth Contreras, still came here.
I actually have
I'm
one
friends with some on
friend
Facebook.
that I went to elementary school, middle school, and high school with. Her name's Regine Espera. We were really good friends. Her sister also went to middle school, or elementary, middle school, and high school, and she's like the only person I've known throughout the whole year.
The years kind of fly by. I mean, I remember Danny Dumlau I met in kindergarten. He was like my best friend in kindergarten. Then it was Josh Leva. Then it was Raul Lura. And I just remember, yeah, I mean, like, time flies, though. I mean, with everything, you just kind of, you get caught up with work and a commute and life and family and all that, and you kind of drift. But, you know, the memories are still there. The people may not be as close, but the memories that we created at that time, I think, are still there. And there are always really good memories associated with Spruce. Cool.
I actually have one friend that I still talk to like every day from Spruce.
You just remember now?
Yeah. I was trying to go. I was like, oh wait, he went to Spruce. Eric Camelamella, he went to Spruce, and then we went to Parkwood together. He actually went to South City High School. I went to El Camino, but yeah, I talk to him frequently. We're actually doing like the fire program at CSM together, so it's pretty cool.
Wow.
Well, actually, I didn't have too many women friends. My sister-in-law, Bertha, not too many girlfriends. Yeah, the boys kind of like to talk to me, so I talked with them more than the girls for some reason. Don't ask me why.
Great.
I was more like a tomboy, I guess, you know.
The most popular group, naturally. No, we were, just the girls, you know, we just hung out with each other, and, because we really weren't into dating. No one had cars or anything in those days, you know. And but we would go to dances together and stuff. In fact, to this day, there's a group of us that we started kindergarten together, and we still meet for lunch every 3 months.
I think I was like a little like all around, kind of just floated here and there based on like recess activities and stuff like that. But I remember playing a lot of kickball. That was like the thing back then.
Yes, still friends. And the town was so small that the parents all knew each other also. So we were friends from grammar school up through high school.
Wow.
And then in junior high after the war, more people moved into South San Francisco, and I got really good friends from junior high on up. And I'm still friends with them.
Oh, yes. Aldo Di Tomasi was my best friend, and he and I went all through school together. And he was a little he was a little older than I. So when we graduated, I was too young to go into the Army, but he went in, and I had to wait for about 8 months before I could go into the Army. I graduated when I was 17, and I wasn't going to be 18 until July, the end of July. And so I had to wait, and I would have liked to have enlisted, but my brother, my older brother, was in the Air Force, the 8th Air Force over in England, and he was on a waist gunner on a B-24, and he got shot down. So my mother wouldn't sign the papers for me to enlist when I was 17, so I had to wait until I was 18, and then I went into the Army.
I have probably too many to name, but names that come to the top of my head are Rudy Galley, and he's related to the family that owned the Galley Sanitary Bakery. Todd Galley, which is his cousin, and there were others. Bob Ezzerini, who recently passed away. Now I'm freezing up. I can't remember them all, but there was so many that I still see today. And one of my friends that I'm close with today, his dad was the janitor here, Choki Morrow.
We were very close. The girls were all very close together. Elizabeth Lotze, Lola Garcia, Rosa Herman, Rose Ferry, Dolores Schmidt. We all got along.
Yes, I miss my team a lot. We worked so well together. We did so many great things and projects, and I still contact Karen. I contact Debbie Valmer. Sometimes I run into other people at the farmers market, and et cetera. But no, they're just forever friends. It was quite a bonding.
Well, Diane was one of my very close friends, and another friend of mine was Roy Uccelli, who lives right down the street from me. And every Tuesday, there's 4 of us guys that get together that we all started kindergarten or the 1st or 2nd grade together, and we're very close knit, still are.
The sports, I played basketball, 4 years of basketball.
We did a lot of sports here at the school, and then it was mostly pickup games here at the school. This building that we're in now wasn't here, and this was the baseball field. So that was a lot of my time was playing football and baseball on this field. We were the Spartans, the Spruce Spartans.
Basketball, I never played in the varsity because I wasn't big enough. But I played in the what do they call that? The 110s. Yeah, we had 110, 120 in the varsity, and I played in the 120. But the varsity, I never was able to meet their exponents that they required. And then I was in journalism with Mrs. Clifford. I forgot to mention Mrs. Clifford.
Please tell us about her.
Mrs. Clifford. You know, the strange thing is, my mother went to school in South San Francisco, but at that time it only went up to the 8th grade. And she used to tell us stories that she and Mrs. Clifford was a good horseback rider, and my mother said that she and Mrs. Clifford used to ride around on horses around South City.
Wow.
But Mrs. Clifford taught journalism, and she taught senior English, and so she had what they call the Cliffacady or something that she would give to the at every football game. She'd select one person to give it to.
I was not a part of any sports, but I was in an after-school program. It was called Stanford Games. I was there for like 2 years. I think it was like a limit that they gave us, but it was basically a place where we can go and dance. We had 2 instructors, and they would teach us different choreographies, and we would come up with our own. And then at the end, we would have our recital, our dance recital. That was really fun. I always looked forward to that.
Basketball, volleyball, and I was in the glee club, and a block letter, and girls' league. Yeah.
They didn't have any sports that I remember, but I do remember that in 5th grade, one teacher I had, I believe, his name was Mr. Robledo. He used to do kickball on Fridays for like about an hour towards like the end of the day, and I do remember playing kickball, and it was a lot of fun.
I was student body president.
Wow.
I was,
How many years?
I think in my junior year, I was treasurer, and then in my senior year, I was student body president.
Great. Wow. And did you leave any mark at Spruce when you were student body president?
You have to ask my teachers. No, we did leave a mark. Now that I think back, there was a superintendent of schools, James Cherry, and his son was a year behind us, and his daughter was a year ahead of us at school. We were good friends. And for some political reason, they wanted to get rid of him. So we threatened to have a student strike. And they took all our pictures and put them in the paper, and they didn't fire him. They kept him. And the football team got all new jerseys the next year.
Well, I was president of the Girls League. That was the club, and I was one of the editors of the Arizet school paper. I was secretary, I think, on the girls' block letter, and the girls' block letters, because we were girls and lower, our blocks just have the S. The boys got the SSF, but when we received a block for our sports, our blocks are just an S. Yeah, I played basketball, and it was half-court basketball at that time, because we were girls. We were very precious commodities at that time. We couldn't run the whole court. And we had softball, and I wasn't on the softball team. And
Played basketball.
All 4 years in high school?
No, I think from the ninth grade when I knew about it. I think I forgot when they really started basketball for the girls. I guess in those days it just then started applying girls to sports, like hockey. And I don't think I played hockey, but I did play softball and mostly basketball. Writing for sports for the, I think the name of the paper was the Iris. Yeah, and so I was a sports editor for the Iris.
Oh, the Glee Club, the art class, mechanical drawing, and the track.
Basketball, baseball, we had field hockey. There was something else. In fact, we had the championship team. It's called the Land Torpedoes.
And how far did you guys get in those teams?
It's just within the school. Once in a while, at that time they didn't go to different schools. The guys did, but the girls did. We did a couple of times go into other schools, but basically it was just within our school.
Basketball. So I think it was like, I don't know if it was necessarily for the school, like it was a school team, but it was like for the after school program, which I think was awesome because, it gave you something to do, it was fun. And there were people, like, I believe they were older than me back then. So maybe they seemed really old, but they're probably like 19. There was Bridget and Chris, and they were like running the after school program. So it was really cool because I lived like a few blocks away, but you can hang out there till like 3 or 4 o'clock, and you can, or even 5, and you can do your homework, and everybody just kind of hung out in like the old gym. So I really appreciated that because I feel like that made a really good impact. Like they were really good mentors, and it just got you like more involved with positive stuff.
Oh, it's a good story. My daughter teaches middle school, or taught middle school in Daly City, and I taught these 2 kids, Roxanne and Luis, and they moved over to Daly City, and my daughter, Aura, taught them both. It was just fabulous, and now my daughter's at San Mateo High School, and Roxanne and Luis are there, and she just reconnected with them. It was beautiful. But I run into my kids quite often.
I get when I go down to Starbucks and get a coffee, I get guys, grown men talking to me all the time, hey, Mr. B, that was the most fun we ever had. Of course, I don't recognize any of them because they were all 4th and 5th graders, and now they're in their 30s and 40s and whatnot. So, but anyway, I'm glad they had a good time. I sure did. I did have a student, James, who I used to work with in 4th grade, and he came back twice, about 2 years ago, and then just this year. And this year he had just graduated from El Camino. He was their, I guess, their star quarterback. He showed me I had said something, an inadvertent comment to him, hey, make me proud, show me a newspaper article where you're a football player. And he came back with a picture of him on the front cover. He's the football star. He, in the meantime, had turned from this just a regular kid in 4th grade, and now he looks like Captain America. And you look at him and you go, wow, dude, what is going on? So, and it was really reinforcing for him and just inspiring for him to come back and say, hey, thanks, and it was a lot of fun. And I go, no, thank you for coming back, really.
As I was looking through the yearbook, I recalled a Mr. Zimmerman. He was a woodshop teacher, and I just remember him being very pleasant. So it's funny when you grow up and you look back, those are the things you remember being pleasant, not so much the subject matter, but I do remember it was wood. I remember I made carved a wooden, like a statue, yeah.
My favorite teacher was in 5th grade. It was Mr. Simpson. He was my favorite. I guess you could say he was the teacher crush. He was just a really nice guy. He really took care of the whole class. He paid attention to us when we had issues or whatever it was. He would always take his time and talk to us and really try to find out what was going on, what was the underlying problem or issue. And he really encouraged us to do our best and to always look to the future and to really take care of ourselves.
Well, I think maybe Miss Clifford. I liked her because she liked me, and looking back now, she would be charged with child endangerment because she had this little Chevy coupe, and with a turtleback. I don't know if you know what a turtleback is.
No.
Well, I was outside, like a rumble seat on the back. You're too young. But anyway, she was a fan of Cal's track team, so she would drive across the bridge with 2 girls in front, and 3 of us would be in the rumble seat in the back. No seatbelts, no helmets, no nothing. And we would go and watch the teams run. And she always liked to sit at the finish line so we could see who would win. And then she just did a lot. She took me rowing on Stowe Lake one time. And she liked the boys, the football team especially. A little hat, and she called it the Katie Award. And at the end of the year, she would have all the winners over for dinner. I thought it was breakfast, but then someone else said she had a turkey dinner. But I can remember going there serving these boys dinner, and I would be a waitress there because at that time I was president of the girls' league, and the president of the girls' block letter would help serve, and it was fun. It was just, as I say, it was fun times because, and then during the war years, there wasn't too much going on because the town had changed.
Mr. Camus, I think he's a principal now. I heard he's a principal now, maybe like in San Mateo, but he was a super, super cool teacher. Very laid back and very cool and just very understanding about a lot of stuff. So he was definitely probably one of my favorite teachers.
I think I had like 3. I had Miss Hoym, who I really liked. She just was very friendly and just always kind of very positive energy. That was 1st grade. Miss Roberts, who was 3rd grade, she was a lady from the East Coast that came from New York, had to get the draw. She was funny, a lot of character. And then 4th grade, Miss J. I didn't like her at the time because she was very strict. But looking back now, she was a lot of fun and she kind of laid the foundation for a lot of stuff. She's always kind of got us interested in politics and just kind of the world around us as opposed to just what was going on in the classroom. Really strict though. She used to make me write lines every day. I will not be late to class. And then made sure I recycled them.
I remember Ms. D. I don't remember her. I just remember her as Ms. D, my kindergarten teacher. She was super nice. I think she just started out teaching, but she had left Spruce after that year. But she was super, super nice. I mean,
Miss Nisha, my kindergarten teacher, was also really nice. I loved her so much. She was so nice and so friendly. And then I remember she had like a little stuffed like frog thing. And then if you're good, she would let you take it home. And it just like, it was really, I thought it was really cool. We're like, what? And everyone wanted it. And then Like I said, I loved Miss Hoym, even though I didn't really have her as like a teacher. She was like my skills teacher. I thought she was like the coolest and the hippest. And then I never had Miss Smithers either, but I knew she was like the Wicked Witch when we would have the pumpkin patch. And then I figured it out, and I was like, "Are you the Wicked Witch?" And she's like, "Don't tell anyone." And I was like, "Oh my god, I figured it out." And then I would always help her with the pumpkin patch.
My fourth grade teacher, Miss J, who I think my brother Christopher also had too. She was I don't want to say like she was very like nice. I mean, she was definitely tough, but she had a very like good side to her, and she always motivated you to learn, you know, and I think that really was like a very big impact on me. I remember we talked about politics, and it was the first time that I ever knew about it and kind of how the electoral college worked. And, you know, I feel like for a teacher, being able to make such an impact on something that's so important when you get older, and just to kind of as a kid feel like that you are a part of this, you know. And it wasn't like my parents really spoke about politics at home or anything like that, so it was really exciting because I remember when we found out who won the election, that it had been Clinton. It was just really exciting to know we were part of it, you know. So I thought that was really awesome. I'd also have to say my teacher in 5th grade, Miss Bonassi, she was a little bit more laid back. She was definitely a little more chill. But she was great. I mean, she taught us about like so many things, and she, you know, valued like, you know, being artistic, and like everybody kind of like teaches for like a different style. And I felt like she was more of, you know, maybe not so like by the book, but making sure that every child was appreciated.
At the top of my head, it would be Miss Conroy. She was really fun. But I did have a lot of good times with a lot of my teachers. But yeah, she really does stick out a lot. And I think our family in general had a good relationship with her. She had my sister as well.
I really didn't have, I liked all the teachers. They were all great, except one teacher I'll tell you about, and she'll probably cringe when she hears it. But Mrs. Dolores was my English teacher. And her husband was going to Stanford, and he was going to be an attorney. And that was fine. Okay, so she said, "Jeanette, you've got to read 3 books in a week." And I looked at her and I said, "No way am I reading 3 books in a week." "Well, you have to." I said, "I'm not." She gave me a D minus minus on my report card. And I still know her to this day, and we're very good friends. And I keep telling her, you thought you'd get rid of me after high school, but I've been following you around ever since. And she's still alive. She's still with us.
Mr. Basudich, Mr. Camus, Mr. Campbell, Miss Hoym, Miss Hannah. Oh gosh, I'm forgetting some of them, but there was just every teacher I had there was good in their own right.
I liked Mrs. Rourke. She taught music, and I was in the glee club at school, so I really enjoyed that class. We had Miss Clifford, our English teacher, who was a very prominent teacher, or prominent person here in South San Francisco. She did a lot of wonderful things for everybody.
Each teacher was different. I don't want to say I had a favorite, but each one, I kind of remember each and every one. My kindergarten teacher was Mrs. Bell. I remember her like yesterday. And then as the years went on, like I was here in the 70s, so I had, I don't know if it's the right thing to say, hippie teachers that you would describe them as. And they were all very helpful, and I still remember them to this day.
I got along with all of them, but probably my favorite was Mr. King. He was the auto shop teacher. I was an industrial arts major, and we got along real good with him. In fact, we used to babysit for him. Yeah.
Oh my, there was a large turnover one year. This was back in 1990. I'm not sure what happened, but there were 10 openings. So they were scrambling to get teachers, and I went to a very quick interview at the district, was hired, met the principal the same day, and she hired me. And I begged her not to put me in first grade because I thought that should be a real experienced teacher because of teaching reading, but I got first grade, and it was a very large class, 37 students when I started, and that was my first teaching job, with school-age kids. Wendy, who you interviewed just before me, had 42 students, and it was for the first 6 weeks, and it was tough. But I feel like, that's how I got hired. It was, a lot of new teachers were there that year, so I didn't feel like a real newcomer. There was at least 10 new teachers. The day I got my job, I was so excited. I went to a pet store and bought a box turtle named Gertrude. And Gertrude was a pet in the classroom for the first year, but it was a little difficult to clean her tank because there wasn't hot water. So eventually she came home and she made visits to school. She's rather famous, and any student that had me or was next door to my classroom knew of Gertrude. She's won a couple of tortoise and hare races. Another teacher had a rabbit, and we asked kids, who do you think's going to win? Of course, they thought the rabbit. I knew Gertrude was going to win because a rabbit goes ziggity-zaggity, and it kept going off the course. Gertrude went straight ahead and won the race. She also won a race with a red-eared slider. Another teacher had a turtle. We raced them. So we sort of brought the story, the tortoise and the hare, Aesop's fables, alive with Gertrude. And now when I see kids and I ask them, how they're doing, they don't ask how I am or what I'm doing. They ask, do you still have Gertrude?
Well, it was kind of an unusual thing. At the time I came here, I was a full-time speech and language therapist. And what I had wanted to do, I was just starting a band that I work with, the Zydeco Flames, in 1990, and I wanted to go be a halftime teacher so that I could devote more time to playing music. And so I worked it out with the district, and I actually ended up taking over the caseload at the school because it was, not that it was a halftime position, but it was shared by the person who had been here before me, Cheryl Beam, had this school and another school. So I just basically took over one of her schools that was a halftime position, and I did that for 17 years. And then at a certain point, 10 years ago, I went back full-time. Of course, in the meantime, the caseload at Spruce just grew, a lot of special education classes. And so we turned it, at its height, there were 2 full-time speech and language specialists that were here. Right. So now we have 1.3 or something like that, me being the one. So
I'd gone to Mexico with the county office of, Centennial County Office of Bilingual Education. And Tony Gonzalez, who was director of bilingual education for the county, knew that there was openings at Spruce. And so I interviewed and got the job.
A guy I met, or a boy I met back then, and he always wanted to borrow my markers, and I would never, ever let him borrow them because he would press on them too hard. And till this day, he brings that up to me and tells me, I still remember those days when you would never let me borrow those markers. And so for some reason, that I always remember that from the years at Spruce.
I remember starting the pumpkin patch and how exciting that was. I started it with my first grade classroom because they'd never had the experience of gathering pumpkins. Met a farmer at the farmer's market who gave them to me. And after rolling out the pumpkins and letting my first graders go and get pumpkins, I saw the sad little faces of kindergartners hanging on the fence going, like this, I want one. So the next year, I contacted Tom Miniatis, who was a grower from Half Moon Bay, and we made the connection. And for 28 years, I bought pumpkins from him. And it was the glorious part about it was organizing the parents and the teachers and all the kids that would drive in the morning to Half Moon Bay on a Sunday morning, load up 1,000 pumpkins, hold on to them in their cars and vehicles, and then unload them on the Monday morning. And it was just beautiful. And the teachers contributed so many beautiful decorations and murals and banners announcing it, and All Souls participated in it. It was a great fundraiser for us, and it was just wonderful to be able to do that and give it to the kids.
Great. I actually have a question about that. So I've spoken to a few of your students, and they keep bringing up the witch. Can you clear that up? They're like, I found out who the witch was. I found out. And I was like, can you just tell us about that, please?
Ooh, the witch. Well, we used to make announcements over the loudspeaker to get kids to promote to bring in your money and buy pumpkins, right? And so one was the witch, and she was like threatening to turn them all green if they didn't buy these pumpkins, and I'm going to get all these pumpkins and I'll turn them green, and it was pretty fun. So some kids got scared, but I had to tone it down, but it was pretty good. And then, of course, some of the pumpkins that arrived were green, so hey, it was the witch.
It was just fun. We were so involved in everything, in all the school activities. And then I had this ring, and we had to acquire 500 points between the 9th grade and the 12th grade, and to acquire these 500 points. And the only way you got these points was to be involved in the school activities, your grades, sports, just everything you did. And it was hard to get because Miss Clifford was in charge of it, and she didn't always agree with what we were doing all the time. But we got it. I think in my class, I think 7 girls received this ring.
Wow.
I used to do safety patrol. I did safety patrol for 5th grade. Oh, no, it was 6th grade then. We were actually went up to 6th grade. And that was, I think, my fondest memory. Oh, and I still run into kids, or adults, now we're all adults with kids of our own, still run into them when they come in and have their kids here. Some of them have their children here, and they laugh and they see me. They go, oh my God, I can't believe you ended up back here anyway. I go, I know. So it's funny. It's really cool just to be able to see us, how we've become adults and have our kids here, and some of them have grandchildren. And it's just really neat to come full circle.
The symphony was a really great experience, and I think to this day, it kind of had a profound effect on me. I still listen to classical music on a daily basis.
I have a lot. There's
there's a lot.
Spruce was great. We got to do so many things.
There's a lot of field trips.
Yeah, there's so many field trips and
outdoor ed too.
Outdoor ed, and the teachers were so active, and I don't know, I guess Spruce was really great. What Chris was saying, teachers, we were always doing something creative and fun, and I don't know, I guess to this day, a small but a memory that was my fondest and left a mark in my life was Miss Hoym. She was my skills teacher, and she was a total Beatles fan, and I remember we watched the Yellow Submarine one day, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing! And that day I fell in love with them, and they're still my favorite band.
Well, at that time, South City was a very small town, so you knew everyone at school. It wasn't that large. And we just had some good times and had a lot of good friends, and we still have a relationship with some of those friends.
Well, one of the things that I like to do with the kids was music. And every year we had a musical. And I and another teacher, we co-directed musicals for the Gifted and Talented program. And we put on a show. One time we had a dinner show, spaghetti feed, and a musical. And another teacher played the piano, and I was one of the directors. And the kids made their costumes and the sets. And it was a wonderful thing. My first year, and the teacher that you just interviewed, Mrs. Smithers, Mr. Robledo, and another teacher, Mrs. Jacobson, we all volunteered to do a mural. So this was back 27 years ago. And at that time, it was the office, the entrance to the office. And it was a very dark, tunnel-y kind of place. And we thought it needed a little brightening, so we thought that'd be a great place for the mural. And it was a lot of learning. We went to the Presida Eyes muralist in the Mission that do all the great murals around the Mission, and we took a workshop and we learned the whole process, what kind of paints to use, how to organize it, every step of the way. And it took probably half a semester to do all the planning, the designs, and all the kids could be involved in it. They drew the animals, they studied the animals that were endangered, and submitted drawings, and we had parents involved, and it was amazing. And then the dignitary from the district, the superintendent, came, and it was a big deal. And it's still there, and it's only been tagged that I know of once, but we used such good paint, we were able to get the graffiti off. So I hope it lasts another 25 years.
There's this quote from High School Musical. It says, "Remember in kindergarten when you would meet a kid and 10 seconds later you would be playing like your best friends because you didn't have to do anything but be yourself?"
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you can discredit the movie as much as you want.
Oh, I love that movie.
I mean, I love it too.
Yeah.
But even anybody that doesn't like musicals or what have you can listen to that quote and appreciate it, because there shouldn't be any reason why we can't do that today. Just be ourselves.
I think the thing I remember the most was at lunchtime. All the kids would hang around the front of the school, and there might have been 1 or 2 cars in the whole school. But everybody just hung around the school in the front on the lawn and talked, and and I don't know, just camaraderie that we all had. We were all came from working families and all close knit with a lot of family ties, and just a lot of fun. I think we were the biggest class at the time, and it was 98.
Wow.
That was the last class to graduate from Spruce School, and they held the ceremonies at the Senior Citizens Auditorium down on Grand Avenue. But we were the last class to graduate from what was then Spruce. It's torn down, but that was the high school.
The field trips, I remember, they were always super fun. I mean, they were always very creative. But like you said, no matter how small it was, it definitely meant a lot. I remember Johnny Appleseed. We had like applesauce. Like, it's just crazy how they always made Chris said, it wasn't always like they always didn't get all the funding that they needed, but they still made it work for us. They still made the students enjoy it, which is really what it's all about. Because honestly, I mean, very few kids actually like going to school. I mean, seriously, you got to keep it fun and entertaining to them. You got to keep it fun and entertaining to them, entertaining for them. But I mean, I had fun. I mean, seriously, it definitely you made me happy to be there. And I will also apologize. I'm pretty sure we were all late for school every day. And the note always said the same thing: car trouble. Car trouble. Mom and Dad.
So we were late to getting picked up every single day and had to
late to school and getting picked up.
Had to wait in the office.
We were the kids car trouble again. You guys need to get a new car. No, I'm sorry.
I guess the teachers that really helped me out, and it was one-on-one. I didn't feel alone, and the policies were strict, but yeah, it wasn't too strict to the point where you couldn't where you got annoyed. You knew what you had to do, and you always felt comfortable with your surroundings.
Just my school days, I had a very successful, enjoyable attendance area there, and I really enjoyed almost everything. We had good teachers. In fact, we had excellent teachers for our high school.
My neighborhood, because I probably there were 18 houses on my block, and every house except for about 2 of them had kids that went to Spruce. So I had a connection with my friends and my neighbors and the school. So it was the place to be, and it was the place to go.
every day just going to school was actually really fun for me, actually. And just all the, we did like a lot of field trips. We went like to the zoo. We went to, there was like a South San Francisco museum like on Grand Avenue we went to. Went to like U.S. Bank.
We went to the firehouse over there too.
Yeah, firehouse.
There was
What else?
also like the
We
fire
went-
poster
What else did
competition.
we? Yeah, I came in like second place. Like
Because
in
he
the fire
copied me though.
No.
Yeah.
No.
There's a fire poster competition.
How did I get into
And then
second place?
I won one year, and then I did it a second year, and then I won again, and I got second place because he copied what I did.
Yeah, we actually got to tour the old 61 Fire Station 61 on Spruce, which is actually really cool because now I want to become a firefighter.
Is that what
So
inspired
that's-
you?
It's something that planted the seed in me, but it was cool. Like we got to tour it, fire the hose, and even go down the pole.
Yeah,
that was really cool.
Just being young, just being carefree, just not a world. I mean, I think they had just changed, so like now, like at that time, fifth was a cutoff for elementary, and like sixth grade became middle school. But it was just like it was just like that time of innocence. Like the pumpkin patch, you can still be a little kid, like, and it was cool.
Well, there's a lot of them, but there was a time when I used to go out and I would had the time to go out during recess in the morning and also recess at lunch and play football with the 4th and 5th grade boys and girls. Our parking lot out there, we used to be a football field, a huge one, and I don't know, just in terms of being like a big kid and playing with the kids and watching them play and having a good time. When the weather was good and when the kids were in a good mood, it was the best.
Most of them are like around Halloween. I remember 3rd grade, Miss Conroy dressed up as an Oompa Loompa. It was perfect. Let's see. The pumpkin patches every Halloween, and you would get the little witch in the overhead just kind of telling us to come hang out and buy pumpkins. Yeah, pretty much. I forget what they call it. They have this whole day where it's just like Olympic Games, and then they have like a barbecue.
Play day.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They still do that.
Yeah, that was really fun.
I don't know, the graduation. It was just a moment of relaxation.
About the years after, from Spruce, I went up to the high school. There, I was very much involved in sports. Yeah, very much involved in sports. Then from high school, I went on to religious life for a little while. But then I came back, so I was maybe in a convent for about 2 years, and I came back. I worked for the telephone company for 17 years, and then I also worked later as a community health worker.
I got a job at W.P. Fuller Paint Company down in East Grand. I worked there for almost a year, and then I was drafted into the service. And then when I got out of the service, I returned to Fuller Paint Company and worked at the company for 33 years, retired from there.
After Spruce, I went to Parkway Middle School, then El Camino High School, and then now due to my general education at Skyline Community College, and actually just went through a EMT program and started my fire program, so trying to become a paramedic firefighter.
While I was in school, I worked at the bakery part-time, and how it was after working at the bakery, then I went home after I graduated. My father says, go down to the city hall. And I said, why? She said, go down there, talk to Mr. Highland. So I went down, and they hired me. So I worked for the city for about 10 years. My husband was a fireman. I met him, and we got married. So I left the city in '61. Then I went to work at the county, and I worked there for 10 years. In fact, I worked for Mrs. Delarius' husband, who was a clerk in the court, and he was a judge.
After Spruce, I went to South City, and in my sophomore year, I applied to a program called Middle College, which allows me to receive college credits and high school credits at the same time. It was a really good benefit because it's free college classes, and it's one less year of college.
I also went to Parkway and El Camino, and I'm just trying to finish my general ed at Skyline College, and I decided my major, and I'm going to be a nurse. Don't know what type of nurse, but I really want to help people.
I went to Centennial Junior College for a year, and then my dad was a barber downtown, and I was coming home from school, and I stopped in there to say hello to him. And the mayor was in the chair getting a haircut, and he asked me what I was going to do that summer. I said, oh, I guess I'll go look for a part-time job. He says, go up to City Hall and tell him I sent you, there's an opening. Wow. So that's how I got my job and stayed there for about 45 years.
Went to Parkway and South San Francisco High School after Spruce. I went to San Francisco State where I graduated. I worked for Safeway for 35 years until I retired 2 years ago. And now, by some small chance of luck or fate, I'm back as a substitute in the South San Francisco Unified School District, and I'm enjoying it tremendously.
After Spruce, I went on to Parkway and then on to El Camino. Graduated 2010, and I joined the Army. I was in the Army for 6 years, and then I went on and became a police officer. I'm currently a police officer, and been a police officer for 3.5 years now.
I'm going to join the San Mateo County Speech and Language Hearing Association. I've always been a member of that particular outfit. But rather than go to meetings or in services or whatever up in Marin County where I live, where I know no one in the educational field up there, I would just come down here, have lunch with some of my buddies, and see people I know here. So I'll stay in contact that way. There's people here in the district that I'm going to want to see. I'm often in the city, so I know I'm going to be getting together with friends. And besides the kids, I'll miss just joking around with some of my friends, the teachers. I mean, every day you walk through the office, somebody's saying something that makes you laugh, or you're saying something that makes you laugh. So I'll miss that. I will. Now, I won't miss the commute, but that's another question. Yeah.
I feel right now I'm doing well. It's a little cottage business, and I sell, have a little sale every year. And I make my own jewelry, and I make my own gifts, and I've also expanded into card making and succulent gardens. So that keeps me busy. And then also traveling, which I never could do in the past, but now I travel. And really haven't been doing too much with children, but that might happen in the future.
I went to work as a secretary.
Great. Where?
I worked for Schleglock, and it was in Visitation Valley at the time. They manufactured locks.
How many years did you do that for?
I was there for 4 years, and I went back later on and worked another 4 years there.
So I too am a product of the South San Francisco education system. I went to Parkway and then El Camino. From there I went to Skyline Community College. From there SF State. From State worked in the insurance industry for a bit. Now I work at Apple and Cupertino. Do some stuff for iTunes.
Oh, my daughter had a baby. So I have a grandson. His name is Darwin, and he's about to be 5. He'll go to kindergarten next year. So I retired and he just walked into my arms, and we do a lot of childcare for them. So he's wonderful.
After Parkway, I went to South City, and I went to Long Beach City College for my kind of general studies, and then transferred back to to SF State, and I'm studying anthropology there.
Well, like I said, I worked for pennies during school, and my parents they were immigrated from Italy. They wanted to go back. They hadn't been back since the 1930s. So we went to Italy for 6 months, and then when we came back, I went to work for pennies, I think the day after I got back, and I worked there for a couple of years, and then I opened my own clothing store. I worked for another guy for a year or so, then I opened my own clothing store in 1956, I think it was. It was on Linden Avenue. It was a little small hole in the wall on an off street. Then I did real well, and I moved up to the main street and was able to save enough money to buy a lot and build a building there, and had a very successful men's clothing store. Wow. And then the town dried up. The businesses left when they opened the shopping centers. So I got out of the clothing business, and I went into the flower business, in the distributing of flowers and flowers in primarily was Long's drugstores at the time, in supermarkets, mass marketing.
After graduation, I worked I was working for marine chemical companies. I worked for the original owner, Mr. R.E. Clark. And I worked for him, and then Merck and Company came in 1951 and bought us out.
From 2005 to 2007, I went to Parkway Heights Middle School. And from 2007 to 2011, when I graduated from South San Francisco High School. And did a lot of sports, wrestling, football, track, theater, and college, Skyline College. You might hear some music in the background. Yeah. I'm actually, today, just got out of rehearsal for Jekyll and Hyde. That's one of my passions, musical theater, so I still do that to this day. I was in Les Miserables, Evita, and now Jekyll and Hyde here in New Bern, North Carolina. I'm in the Navy. I'm in the United States Navy. I'm a hospital corpsman. We're basically medical assistants in any and every thing you can think of in the medical field. We assist. Currently, I'm a combat medic, for lack of a better term, field medical technician in the Navy, stationed with the Marine Corps unit at a headquarters and support company for 1st Battalion, 6th Marine Regiment. So I'm really proud of what I do.
I was in the Army for about 2 years.
Wow.
That was from 1944 until, was it the, about, I got out in 46. I went to San Mateo Junior College, and I got my AA there. And then after that, I went to San Francisco State, and I got my BA and MA from there.
Wow.
Well, when I started, I majored in veterinary science.
Wow.
And what happened was, while I was in college, I volunteered to go to YMCA camp and be a counselor. And I did that for a couple of summers, and I found out that I enjoyed being around children and instructing them as them.
Yeah.
So then I switched my major to education.
Yeah.
When I graduated, I got a job in South City.
Which school?
I first went to Martin School. I was an elementary school teacher.
Wow.
Taught 5th grade. So when the 9th, 10th, and 11th, and 12th class moved out to the new campus, that was in about, 52, 53, they took classes from 5th grades and 6th grades from Sunshine Garden School and Martin School and moved them into the Spruce School. And Mr. Ferree, Oliver Ferree, was our principal. And then while I was there, they appointed me as vice principal of Berry.
Wow.
Because Mr. Pless, he's another high school teacher that I didn't mention, but Mr. Pless became the principal, and he needed help there, so they sent me over there as his vice principal.
Wow.
And then after I was there for about a year, they sent me to Spruce. There was Spruce Junior High School and that elementary school, and I was Mr. Ferree's vice principal of the junior high school. And then in 1958, they appointed me the principal of Los Cerritos.
Wow. And how long were you at Los Cerritos for?
24 years. And after that, they transferred me up to Monteverdi, and I stayed 4 more years there as principal. And then I retired. In 1986, I retired after 35 years. I was elected in 1976, and I was on the council until 1985. And I was mayor and vice mayor and councilman for that period of time.
My relationship to Spruce, I guess it can be kind of close because my brother is a tutor in a way in the after-school program, and my sister is the secretary. So probably, I don't know, I probably might work there if there is a position.
My wife, Lisa Cairo, is a 5th grade teacher there at Spruce now. She started out at Playworks a few years ago, and it was the weirdest thing because she applied for this job, and she was placed at Spruce. She was like, "Hey, I got placed at Spruce in South City." And I said, "I went to Spruce. That's full circle." So from there, she really liked the community. She really liked the atmosphere. Fell in love with the colleagues, and then applied back, got hired as a teacher, and she's there now. And I just think it's so cool because I get to kind of see the opposite end of the spectrum. I was the student there. I was a product of that kind of institution, and then to see her now carry it on almost, 20 some odd, almost 30 years later, to see the next generation of students. And a lot of the people that I went to school with there now have kids that are students there, so she's educating them. So it's very just kind of a holistic point in life, which is, I think, pretty cool.
My sister-in-law, Lisa Cairo. I know I volunteered there a couple years ago with Lisa, his wife, on Play Day.
Oh, Play Day.
It was Play Day.
Oh.
Yeah, but I honestly the only reason why I go back there now is in case she needs help or they need help doing something there. So.
Today I work in the office. I'm an office assistant, and I never thought that I would actually end up back at Spruce.
Today, I'm an employee of Spruce School, and starting in 2 weeks, I'll be a long-term substitute here, so I'm probably going to get closer to this school.
I was working as an instructional aide at what is now the center there, the Children's Center.
The Children's Center,
Yeah,
That
yeah.
used to be part of Spruce as well.
That used to be part of
When I was
Spruce.
at high school.
Yes,
Yeah. Oh, great. So you were right there.
Yeah, yeah.
How many years did you do that for?
2 years, That used to be like a wood shop. That's where Mr. Zimmer had his class.
I've been selling pumpkins to Spruce School. Wendy Smitters is the one that originally found me. And should I show some of the pictures? And these are some of the pictures that Wendy took. This is one of the books. Wendy always brought down a book with her when she originally, the following year, bought pumpkins from us. These are all the kids having a great time selling pumpkins. And I think they have a great time when they come to Half Moon Bay to purchase them.
No, I don't. I really don't have any connection to the schools at this present time. But I was on the school board for almost 8 years.
Wow.
I appreciate being able to do this interview for you all. Spruce School was definitely a great time, and I cherish the memories that I gained. And elementary school in itself should create a basis for life for every child and every person involved, every adult involved in teaching children is just a blessing to this world. So whoever watches this, I hope you know that your job is very important as an adult to create an environment for kids to grow and build their lives.
No, Spruce was fun. Like, growing up, it was never really nice to be at home. So going to Spruce was a cool little getaway. Like, I really appreciate all the memories I had there. Like, even after school programs, getting there early, like even staying in the office after waiting for our parents to pick us up. Like, everything. I can't think of a bad. Well, I can't think of a bad memory actually. But besides that, everything's been really great.
People always think of Spruce as not being a real good school because of the area that it's in, but I tell all my friends and family that this is probably one of the best schools that I've been to.
Oh, it means a lot to me. I really enjoy being here. I love being with the kids. They're funny. I learn from them, and they learn from me. It's funny when they say, "Oh, you remember you told me this last year?" And I'm like, "I did? Oh, well, good. I'm glad you remember that." Or when they come in and they say, "Oh, you remember you gave me the Band-Aid for the bruise or the little cut that I had?" I'm like, "Oh, good." And they say, "Oh, you patted me on the shoulder and said you'll be okay." And it's really cute that they remember little things. So I'm hoping that as they get older, they can kind of look back and say, oh, there was this one office lady, she was really nice. She gave me this, or she put ice on my boo-boo, or what have you. It's really sweet to hear stuff like that. And I really enjoy it here. I like working here. I like the kids, like the families, and it's just a pleasure to be here. My day goes by so fast it goes by. But when I remember when I was in school, the day was so long when you're a student.
No, I just think we had a very nice time, and we had as I said, we had a lot of good friendships, and they're good memories for us.
Just that I had a great time when I was going there. I got along with all the teachers, and it was just a lot of fun. It was one of the better times of my life.
I wish they would have kept it. It was a beautiful school. It's a shame that they had to go somewhere else. We had a beautiful campus, and we were all so close.
Just like my home, I really like the city, and Spruce School is a part of my childhood, and you kind of wish you could go back sometimes,
It was just good years. I met my husband in my senior year of high school, and he was ahead of me in school, and it was just fun times. We were very naive and innocent in those days. We didn't have telephones, we didn't have computers, no cars. The fellows, like on a junior prom, they would use their dad's car, because it was just simple times. They were fun. We knew no better, so we didn't miss out on anything.
The thing about the school that I enjoyed was we were all in the same atmosphere. No girl was better than any other girl. We all got along, we all laughed together. The ones that could afford tennis played tennis. I couldn't afford it, and a lot of girls couldn't afford it.
I'd say that, we all worked hard. I think one thing I'd like to contribute to this interview was that the third grade team, we wrote a lot of grants. And one of the most wonderful grants we got was to provide a lot of field trips to the kids to expose them to the curriculum of the history of South San Francisco. And the end result was that all 100 students helped write this beautiful book on the history of South San Francisco. And we had cameras, we took pictures, and it all got documented in this little book. And it should be here in the library. I know it's at Orange Avenue, but it's just a skinny little book, but that was just the most wonderful thing we did.
Well, I just want to wish Spruce a lot of good luck for this 100 years, and let's do 100 more.
I think about my career. I wouldn't have changed it. I would not have done anything else besides being a teacher. It was a tough school, but I do think anyone who remained at Spruce were some of the most dynamic, creative, hardworking teachers in the entire district. And I used to hear people say, "You people at Spruce, you're the most amazing teachers," and that went for everyone there. They put their all into it and worked late. So I felt like I was, with just great people that wanted to share. There was not a lot of competition. Everybody had open doors and shared their curriculum. Shared ideas how to help kids. We shared kids. It wasn't like, oh, that's my kid and I'm alone with them. You had other eyes on that child if you were having difficulty with someone. That's what made it really special. There was a family feeling there, and I don't think that's everywhere.
I had good memories from the school and had a great time. And I still remember, but not too well, where it was and everything. And I think that's about it.
This is my sister Sonia. My older brother Erasmo came here, Evadio. This one is my brother Joel.